James Linus. I have these 4 wines next from Mettler family, Lodi. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Petite Sirah, as well as an old Wine Zinfandel called Epicenter. And lastly, a wine that's a red wine blend called Copacetic Gigue 4. Stay tuned and I'll tell you all about these wines. So first is the old Wine Zinfandel, and this is coming from 50-year-old vines, and it's a really absolutely outstanding Zinfandel, and one where, you know, this producer has pretty large holdings of Zinfandel, Cabernet, Petite Sirah, and a few other varieties, and so they only produce a smaller portion of that comes to the marketplace, but I think it's really nice, handsome, gorgeous wines that they are producing. Now this wine is a 14.7% ABV, $24.99 price point, and I'll start off with the nose characterization. So on the nose here, very fresh characterization of red cherry, a bit of pomegranate notes, spice, red rose petal, leather notes as well. And next, the palate characterization. So on this, is, you know, characteristic notes of this are cassis, a bit of red pepper note, baking spices, and rose petal. This is a 93-point wine out of 100 points. And next is a Cabernet Sauvignon. And here is a 2018 vintage Cabernet Sauvignon. Here's a back label for you to look at. Again, a Lodi Rules green certified wine, 14.5% ABV. Back label for you to look at here. You're gonna see the Lodi green certification, Lodi Rules. And so this is a really outstanding wine where the Cabernet is picked from several sites of Mettler family. And so I'll tell you about that in a moment, because the sites are really indicative of the clonal expression in the bottle. So this is about being sourced from 3 sites, that is Johant AVA within Lodi. Actually, I'll put a map right here so you can see all the AVAs of Lodi. That's Clone 7, and they have Clement Hills AVA with 13 acres, Clone 151 and 191. Clement Hills AVA, which is Clone 15 and 191. And McColney River, which is 77 acres of Cabernet, 337, 412, 338, and number 7. So here this wine is a really nice expression of Cabernet Sauvignon from Lodi. So on this here, very appealing nose, very rich characterization here. So black fruit notes, blackberry, black cherry notes, dried violets, as well as spice characterization. Very nicely done. Next, the palate characterization. So this is expressive of black cherry notes, cherry, thyme, bay leaf, and white pepper notes. So for me, when I get the characteristic of bay leaf, and I really think bay leaf is found in many a Cabernet Sauvignon, and that's evident in this wine here, and it's always an exciting characterization. For me, it's always nice to, I've been on many sites in Napa, Sonoma, and I pick up a bay leaf, and it's just nice to smell that very autumnal characterization, and it's present in this wine. So this is 92 points out of 100 points. And next is this wine here. This is Copacetic Gigue 4, a really nice green package here. So it's very different than the paper labeled, very familiar Mettler family wine labels. And here's a back label. And you're gonna see it's Lodi Rules as well. And so Gigue 4 really expressing that this is not a vintage wine necessarily, but it's a production or addition is probably the best way of saying that. So let's taste this wine right here. And so this is $19.99, and so this will be listed in the values under $20 price point, and you'll see that playlist right down below. And so check that out for other, you know, price points under the $20 price point range. So this wine sees 16 months and 80% American oak, 20% French oak, 30% new, 30% 1 year, and 40% neutral. Again, $19.99 price point, and so this is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Petite Sirah, and Old Wine Zinfandel. And the Cabernet is really, you know, think about this, you know, it's a very nice clonal selection that Mettler family has. It's 337, 412, 338. And next I'm going to tell you about the characterization of nose as well as palate. You know, so on this wine here, definitive notes of pomegranate, black cherry notes, dried red rose petal, and bay leaf. And next is the palate characterization. So when it comes to this blend, it may not be, you know, 1/3 of each of the varieties, because I definitely taste the Zinfandel. And many times when you have a higher percentage of Petite Sirah, it can mask or actually take over. It doesn't mean to do so on purpose, But I think maybe the stylization that Mettler family is aiming for, it really brings down that overly intense characterization. The Petite Sirah allows the old vine Zinfandel to come up and to be noticed and to be tasted and enjoyed, as well as a Cabernet Sauvignon. So this is giving notes of red fruit, notes of pomegranate, a bit of red cherry notes, white pepper, thyme, and fennel. This wine is 92 points out of 100 points. And next is the Petite Sirah from Mettler family. Now this is a 2018 vintage, a 14.5% ABV wine. Here's a back label for you to look at right here. Again, all 4 wines are Lodi Green, or Lodi Rules rather. So green certification from Lodi Rules. And so some in my wine glass. And again, this is something I found to be very pleasant and surprising and very nice. So the colorization is, darker colorization, indicating that this is definitely a Petite Sirah wine, but it's not overly intense. It's not going to be in the early 15s, which, yes, Petite Sirah can get there. But in some ways, it can be over-extracted. But when a Petite Sirah is over-extracted, I think it really goes towards the game note, as well as very, very expressive, almost like boysenberry notes. So that's that cross between a blackberry and a raspberry. And it's almost on that confit characterization. And so, I also get characterization of, say, tamarind notes on a, say, overly, extracted Petite Sirah. So this is really that midpoint. It's not under-extracted. It's a nice balanced wine. I know it's a term that's used all the time, but I think that's where this wine is successful. So on here, red and black fruit notes, a bit of suede characterization, evergreen forest, and spice box. And next, the palate characterization. So this is expressive of blackberry notes, black pepper, and freshly ground spices. This is a 92 point wine out of 100 points. So everything except Copacetic is $24.99 right here. This is $19.99. So thank you so much for watching this video review today. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more video reviews to come. And so here we are. This is the fall time. We're getting towards the end of 2020. I have more reviews to be tasting with you and to share those notes. So thank you for watching. Give a like to this video channel. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, thank you so much. Santé to you. And also you can find me on the following social medias of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress. Additionally, you'll find me on my podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Santé.